city ways and these city lights are driving me insane. I wanna be alone, I wanna be back home, back on those Texas plains.
Hello, my fellow readers. My name is Greg, and this is Ghost Readers in the Sky, and I am here with my final roundup, wrap-up of June on the Range 2025, where we spend the month of June focused on Westerns. Each week, I gave a summary, a roundup of what I had read and watched in that week. And so I wanted to start with the handful of things that I finished since the week 4 roundup. And I'm going to start off with this novel, Shane by Jack Schaefer. This particular edition has illustrations by John McCormick. Here's a great illustration of them chopping out the stump. Here's another illustration of the barroom brawl. The book is about a loner who comes into a homesteader's ranch. Homesteader's a family, husband and wife and their young son. And Shane, the loner, goes to work for them, and then really the major plot is that the big ranch owner who runs all the cattle all around wants even more land, and so he wants to get the homesteaders out. Really great book and a really great film. I think more people know Shane from the film than from the book. I just can't read this book without picturing Alan Ladd as Shane. The other characters I see differently in my head, but Shane has to be played by Alan Ladd. He defined that role for me, and that's how I saw Shane as I read the book. Highly recommended. Everybody should read it. The other book I read was Riders of the Silences, a book by Max Brand, actually written under the name John Frederick, one of his many pen names. Frederick Faust was the real name of the author. He just wrote a lot of works under a lot of different names. This is a story of a man who is called home by his dying father and asked to avenge his death. He's a young man in his very early 20s, and so he goes to look for some help to avenge this death. He joins an outlaw gang, and our hero, Red Pierre, or Pierre LaRouge, wasn't really planning to become a bandit, but that's what he needed to do to get the help that he needed to avenge his father's death. And then they go out to seek McGurk, who is known as the greatest gunfighter anywhere ever in the world. McGurk has never lost a gunfight, so it's a big deal to go after him in the first place. I found it really exciting. I found it very adventurous, and there was a fascinating little love triangle going on. There was also a charmed amulet that seemed to bring both good and bad luck at the same time. Just a nice premise, a really good book. I don't think you can go too far wrong with Max Brand. So those are the two novels that I added right at the end of June. I also saw the film The Kid, which I think came out in 2019. It's a re-envisioning, maybe. No, not really. It uses the characters of Billy the Kid and Pat Garrett in a sort of kind of quasi-historical context, but it's really about a brother and sister who are running away from an abusive father and an abusive uncle, and they come across Billy the Kid and his gang right about the time that Pat Garrett has arrested Billy the Kid. Being an historian by training, I have a hard time when there are counterfactual events in a film. And so I spent way too much of the film analyzing, that didn't happen, that didn't. Now I know part of it was fictional because these kids who were running away from an abusive family, completely fictional, and we knew that going in. But I just kept getting hung up on a lot of the anomalies that happened. Although the jail breakout scene is pretty much like I've read in other accounts. It is a really well done film. Vincent D'Onofrio, is that the right name? The guy who played Kingpin in the Daredevil series. It's his film. He has a small cameo. Ethan Hawke plays Pat Garrett. And Chris Pratt in a big old beard so that he does not look like he's ready to guard the galaxy. Chris Pratt plays the uncle who they're running away from, and then there are a bunch of people who nobody's ever heard of. Nicely done film. I liked it, and I wish I could get away from the historian in me to more fully enjoy these fantasies. It's fiction. It wasn't intending to be anything but fiction, and yet there I go. I get myself hung up. It's what I do. I will list below everything that I did during June on the Range, but I'll just do a quick listing here. All of these have more full reviews in the weekly roundups. They're all easily found in my June on the Range playlist. And so I read seven novels. Chip of the Flying U by B.M. Bauer. Burning Daylight by Jack London. The Border Legion by Zane Grey. Riders of the Silences and Destry Rides Again, both by Max Brand. Shane by Jack Schaefer, and Ombre by Elmore Leonard. My favorite, I think, was, I'm going to call Destry Rides Again my favorite Western of this June on the Range. It's a great book. I also had 4 episodes of Cowboy Poetry Thursday, where I read The Man from Snowy River by Banjo Patterson, The Cremation of Sam McGee by Robert W. Service, They Keep a Stealin' on You in the Night by Rhonda Seibel, and Anonymous End by Baxter Black. I think They Keep a Stealin' on You in the Night was my favorite. A short, compact poem that packs a lot of meaning and really great Western imagery. And I think that was my favorite poem that I read during June on the Range. And then films, 9 of them altogether. Hopalong Cassidy Enters, The Eagle's Brood, Born to the West, Santa Fe Stampede, Rawhide Rangers, Oklahoma Badlands, Hondo, Ombre, and The Kid. There are reviews and comments on all of these again in the June on the Range playlist that I have. my favorite. Hondo was really good, but Hombre is my pick of these. I thought that the adaptation of Elmore Leonard's novel was really well done. Paul Newman did a nice job as the title character, Hombre. Richard Boone is a fantastic villain, and it was fun all around. I liked it. That was my favorite film that I watched during June on the Range. I also created a playlist on Spotify of Western music that just has a pretty broad range of Western music, most of it contemporary, but some older pieces as well. And I'll link to that below. So there it is, my first June on the Range as a booktuber. Wonderful chance to co-host this with the great Michael K. Vaughan, who came up with this idea a few years ago. So many great co-hosts listed below. And I just had a fantastic time focusing on Westerns during the month of June. Now it's July, so it's time for Private Eye July. And I'm already started into my first Private Eye novel. But more about that in upcoming videos. For now, I hope you found good Westerns to read, maybe some good films or television to watch, some poetry. I hope your June on the Range was as enjoyable as mine. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. My name is Greg, and this is Ghost Readers in the Sky.